first of all, for taking the time to do the podcast, for leading life, man. Kind of connected over Facebook, man, and talked a little bit yesterday, man, and enjoyed your story, man. So definitely wanted to have you on here so you can share your perspective, your experience, and life lessons for other people to help them grow, right? So one thing, right? Just to get it going and get it started, right? I like to ask this. It's what is the number one thing that you drive for others to learn the most?
Yeah, the number one thing is simple. It's all BS. That's it. It's all BS. Belief systems, right?
Nice.
Think you can or think you or think you cannot. You are right, which is a quote from Henry Ford, but it's also a
Love
quote
it.
from like the Buddha, right? Your belief system creates a filter. And do I deserve? Can I have? Am I the type of person? I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too fat. I'm too slow. I'm too thin. I'm too thick. I'm too this. I'm too that. That's all BS. It's all a form of hypnosis that locks us in. So it's like, look, get control of your stories, because that's how your belief shows up, is in the stories you tell. I can't. Okay. How do you know that's true? Let's unpack that.
Yes.
And that's where we begin to make pivots and changes. So if people could learn the ins and outs and how to master stories, right? There's only 4 reasons we tell stories. And then the stories drive our games. And the games, there's only 4 variables to a game. And then the game drives our impact and our results. As long as you're alive, it's all feedback. Let's play. And so that's like my number one most like thing. It's all BS.
Yes.
Belief
And
systems.
I love that, man, that you shared that. You actually shared my favorite quote from Henry Ford. Like that's yeah, I love it, man. I have it in my email signature. Like
Nice.
I love that quote because I mean you're so right, man. It's it I feel like when I have had conversations with people before, and even for me in my own experience, right, coming from the military side and going up, right, it was all really a belief system, right? There's a lot of things that if you want to grow can challenge you, especially it being in the military. But it's all that mindset. Like, do you have the mindset to do it, right? Do you have the mindset, oh yeah, I'm gonna sign up for Ranger School. Go ahead, do it. Like, but you have to have that mentality. And it's interesting if you ever look at I don't know too much in detail, right? Because I didn't do it, but if you look at like the perspective of the training of like special forces, it's a lot of people go like, oh, you got to be physically strong and everything. It's mentally strong. They try breaking you mentally first before any physical thing comes out of it, really. And that's how they're weeding out like the people that they know kind of are not going to make it. It's, are you mentally strong to prepare for what's ahead of you, right? And I like to take moments, right? I mean, I'm a very strategic mindset person where I like to plan stuff out as much as I can, but I also had to develop that over the years where I need to also, and you said another one of my favorite words is pivot. You got to really learn to pivot when things don't go your way, because chances are more than not, they're not going to go your way. And if you're just going to be like, oh, the whole plan's just ruined now, I'm going to stop. Like, you're going to keep stopping for the rest of your life.
Yep. Yeah, just yell plot twist. Because like plot twist is another story, but just yell plot twist and then you make adjustments. Because as long as you're alive, it's feedback, right? Because it's just like, oh, that didn't work out. Cool. What are you going to do different? Now you know exactly what not to do that exact way. What's one thing you can change? Now iterate, do it again. Which is also story, iterate, feedback. Like it's all story, right? And it's just that's where the resilience starts. It's like physical resilience is cool, but like we put enough grief on someone, we'll break them. I had a buddy of mine went through the SEALs twice. He went through BUDS twice, and he just couldn't pass because for his body, when they did the drown proofing, his body temperature dropped to 92 degrees. The lungs started to fill with fluid. All right, let's do this again. Second time they did it, same thing happened. They're like, nope, you're out. But he said, like, there's a lot of guys that are really freaking hard, and they just got tired of being sandy and cold and having a boat bouncing on your head for hours all day. They just got tired of that crap, or they missed their wife, or they just wanted to be a little more comfortable than this. And they physically, the training was no big deal. Like they could just train all day long, but it was that wearing down of I'm cold, I'm wet, I'm sandy, I'm hungry, I'm sick of this crap. And that's why they bounced out, not because they weren't hard enough, not because they weren't strong enough physically, but it's that resilience of what's it going to take to make you go home and get under your blankies and hide. Like, where's that line? We have to know that, not to make you wrong, but for whatever mission is in front of us, where's your breaking point? Where's your effort? I'm out.
Yeah, and that makes so much sense, man. And I would love your perspective on this. So I have a belief, or I guess my one of my belief systems, right, is that in my experience, I have learned that people don't change unless it's through pain or necessity. That's when they hit that. I guess when they hit that point where it's like, okay, this hurts too much,
Mm.
or the necessity portion being like, I have no other choice, right? What do you think about that in that sense? Whether do you feel like it makes I feel like going through portions of that or going through those times in your life journey, right? Like that's what builds you. That's what pretty much like builds that resiliency in you that and I try harping on this a lot because through my program I kind of throw in snippets to people to actually reflect on their past journeys, right? I'm like, dude, think of all the wins that you've had, right? Even if there were minimal wins, or you may not think that there were big wins, right? To a child, you showing up to their baseball game is probably a big win for them, right? So I'm like, take the time to reflect and think about those little wins because you're probably stronger or more resilient than you really think, right? So
Right.
what do you think about that?
Well, there's two ways to grow, right? And we can use pain, but we can also use pleasure. And
Mhm.
instinctively, we're wired to do more to get out of pain. Because, like, yeah, this sucks, and I don't like where I'm at, but I'm not drowning. But I'm treading water, so I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not thriving. It's not wonderful, but I'm okay. And we're just treading water. And before I fully answer the question, let me ask you, John. Like, how
Mhm.
long can you tread? How long can you tread water?
Oh, me probably like 2 minutes or so, probably maybe less.
Yeah,
I'm a big guy,
basically,
man.
this is true for everyone, but we can all
Yeah.
tread water until we die. Because if
Oh,
you're
nice.
treading
Yeah.
water, you're not going anywhere. There's no goal, there's no direction. There's just I'm just trying to survive this moment. And if we
Yeah.
don't have a place, a destination, then we're done because we're going to tread till we're exhausted and then we're going to make a mistake. And all you need is one, because once that water starts to get inside you, especially salt water, you're going to dehydrate, you're going to die. So we can only tread water until we die. So we need to have that reality check. But if pain is the only way to grow, well, then when your kid messes up, just beat them with a baseball bat until they learn. Like, no, that's not okay, right? So yes, pain can be a vehicle, but so can pleasure. So can think about a
Hmm.
seed when it's planted in the ground. It is in the nature of the seed to move towards the light, not because somebody beat it, not because it was punished, not because it was given pain, but
Hmm.
because there's something inside that seed that is drawn towards the light. And that's where my highest and greatest good is. That's where my expansion is. The challenge is the authority structure or the leadership team around us, which I know is a big deal for you.
Yeah.
What do they have to give? Because if all they know is pain to force compliance, then that's their vehicle. And we're going to use the stick and we're not going to use the carrot. On the other side, if we use too much pleasure, then we create a situation where our team will only do whatever for that external reward. Well, what am I getting paid? What is my
Yeah.
benefit to do this? So we have to figure out where the intrinsic reward is. Where's the person's vision and values for themselves? What is their highest sense of good and accomplishment in life? And how can we align their internal and external reward mechanisms towards our organizational or personal goals so that we create a
Yeah.
mutual win-win? So then you end up with there's two layers of pain for growth, which is when you're stuck in F this, your world is burning down, or F that, where all you're focused on is not falling back into the crap that was burning your life down. And so those two layers of growth, scarcity, pain, survival instinct. But then if we want people to thrive, it's very difficult to get people to thrive while punishing them. So then we
Yes.
get into what is that higher good? What is that compelling future that's going to draw them? Which, as leaders, we have to have a vision bigger than this moment
Yes.
and a future bigger than this moment, because then we can draw people our way and they see that goal and go, oh, that there looks awesome. And then we can build steps to get to that higher level of accomplishment. And how do they need to show up and how do they need to grow? Right. So growth is more positive, change is more pain driven. And we can use pain to drive massive action quickly, but once the
Yeah.
pain goes away, the change goes away and the sustainability goes away.
Yes.
And that's the problem with pain as a driver. Not that it's wrong in and of itself, but where's the sustainability? Because it's an external, I'm going to punish you. And then you get people that internalize guilt and shame and they implode their lives later because they got wired as kids. Guilt and shame is the way to drive. Fault and blame is
Yeah.
the way to drive. And now they're trying to lead teams and they're going, but I'm not in enough pain. My life is too comfortable. Oh, I need to sabotage my life. I need to cheat on my wife. I need to cheat on my husband. I need to do
Yeah.
things. If anyone finds out I'm doing this, I'll lose my career. But I need that chaos because if I'm not guilty, I can't improve.
Yeah.
And set up this dysfunctional cycle is
Said
part
it.
of
And
why.
yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. That makes perfect sense. And it's that's where I sometimes, not that I have trouble with, but part of my development, for example, right? It was, yeah, of course, out of pain, right?
Mhm.
Probably like early adolescence to early life and stuff like that, and then my early career, and then it became and I love that you bring that up, because for me it was like, okay, I got here out of the pain, but now how do I sustain this, right? That's
Right.
where the necessity came out.
Yep.
That's where I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way. And that's what kind of led me to actually developing my program, was
Mhm.
like, okay, how do I sustain this now? Like, I got here, but
Yeah.
now what? Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and
that's
that's where
where,
you need containers, you need structure, right?
yes.
That's when I work with parents, they're like, "Well, how do I discipline my kid?" And I'm like, "You mean punish," right? Because
Mm,
discipline is a skill, discipline's not an act, right?
yeah.
But then we have to
Okay.
define what is discipline. Discipline is when self-discipline is when I tell me to do what I'm supposed to do no matter whether I like it or not. So
Yeah.
that requires, one, I gotta know what I care about, because supposed to requires you care about things. But then it's I have to build structures and accountability systems. And so it's not that I have to discipline my kids. I need to help them motivate themselves to do the things that they are supposed to do. So
Yes.
then supposed to's walks backwards a step to respect. What do they care about? So that I can align organizational or individual goals if we're talking family or relationship marriage. But what are my goals here? And what are the things I need done? And then what are the things that my partner wants or my kids want or my employees want? How to align that to create a win-win. And now you've got a sustainable system,
Yeah. And
right?
that I'll be completely honest, man. That's tough, right? It's tough, man. I mean, I
It
have,
can be tough because that's a
yeah,
story,
yeah,
right? It is tough.
yeah,
It
yeah.
can be. Yeah,
It
yeah. It
can
can.
be, right?
It
And
can be.
that's it's interesting. I shared a couple stories, right? And this is gonna kind of dive me into my next question for you.
Mhm.
Is I shared a story of listening one time. I went with my wife to go pick up my stepdaughter, right? And we picked her up from school and everything. And I'm sitting there, and as a leadership coach, right? I'm like just sitting there listening, right? And just hearing all the stories that she's talking about. Well, Brianna did this and da da da. And like it's a lot of like drama filled, like a lot of emotion coming out, right? And I personally, like, I had a son, I raised my son, right? I never had the opportunity to raise a daughter. So I'm learning in that sense, right? Of like how that transition, it was easy, or easier, I guess you can say, when she was 5 and she wanted, oh, let's just get a Barbie and let's spend some time together. Oh, yeah, let's play tea, kind of thing like that. And now it's like, okay, seeing you grow into the person that you're growing into, right? And I kind of try instructing her all the time. I'm like, one of her biggest, what I identify as one of her biggest things is she is very emotionally driven.
Mhm.
And I try kind of instructing her in that sense of, it can be it can be very good or it can be very bad depending on how you do it. And that's where I try helping her, like, instruct her in the sense of like trying to control it, in that sense of, you got to really identify like what you're about to react to before you react. For example, like she'll kind of tell us stories sometimes where, her and her dad had an argument, right?
Mhm.
And they're
Mhm.
both the same person. They're both very emotionally driven.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
kind of that like no win situation for them, where, and she's talking to my wife, her mom, and I'm just like, oh man, like I just need one of y'all to like control your emotions real quick. Like,
That's
so
what
this
you need.
doesn't keep spiraling,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what you need, right?
Yeah.
So that's your model of the world. So can I put on my coaching hat for a minute?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And man, you know what? I would love it. Throw on your coaching hat, man, and I would love to hear the story, like how you got to this point, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me frame this for you. Then we'll talk about how I got here, right? So
Got you.
here's the deal. In my world, so I do a lot in relationship space and communication and belief systems and gates. Like there's a lot of things that I do because I have a fundamental frame that a lot of stuff can hang off of. What you just described is essentially you're coaching without consent. Does she have a problem with her emotions? No. You have a problem with her emotions. You have a problem with her regulation, and not problem like
Nice.
it's catastrophic, but it's just her bandwidth for emotional context is much larger than yours. And so in a masculine frame, masculine left brain, we delete. Feelings don't matter. What's the problem? What's the point? Solve it. The tiger's eating the kids. Great, kill the tiger. Well, no, but you don't understand how I feel about the tiger, and I don't feel safe, and I'm really worried about the tiger, and I'm really concerned about the tiger, and I don't want the tiger to die, but it can't be eating people, so we have to be able to stop the thing. And there's all this emotional context. There's all this emotional bandwidth that has to be expressed. Otherwise, still filled up to here with the emotion, can't hear anything else. So the feminine frame, right brain, everything connects, everything is tied together, infinite storage, infinite recall, stories, music, colors, sounds, senses, emotions. It's all time and space and energy and all this stuff. And the masculine, the left brain, can only handle 5 to 9 things at a time. And then it starts to loop and it goes into overwhelm and shuts down. So the masculine goes, here's the problem. Here's the situation. Here's what you need to do. Here's how to solve this. Feminine didn't ask, because feminine didn't say, help me solve this. What should I do? Feminine is, I'm in this place and it's this thing, and here's what I'm noticing, and here's what I'm feeling, and here's what my concerns are, and here's what my doubt is. It's all context so that you understand me and where I am. And you can just go, wow, that's a lot. Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to guide your daughter, you have to get permission from her, even at, 5 years old, 9 years old, 11 years old. It's like, hey, babe, it sounds like you're carrying a lot of stuff. That's amazing. Do you like how that feels for you? Would you, if there was a way to make it easier to handle or easier to process, would you be interested to hear more? And you're getting permission from her to say, oh, that would be really cool. Oh, fantastic. Well, one thing I found is when you feel your emotions getting big, take a deep breath and relax the tension in your body and just breathe into the moment, because it takes us out of our fight and flight system into our reaction, and it brings us back into rest and digest. It actually helps gear our nervous system down. It's a big fancy thing called self-regulation, but it starts with a big deep breath. So let's try that together. And now you're getting permission to coach her, and you're giving her one tool, not solving the whole big thing. That's not today, right? It's an essay question. It's not multiple choice.
Gotcha.
Right? And so then you've got at 18, what's your goal for her? And then you can kind of work backwards to where we are now. And then you can begin to put rungs in the ladder to climb to that higher standard. And really like 1 or 2 things, like we as parents, if we look at our kids' product to market, we've got 18 years to take this product in R&D, develop it, put it out to the marketplace. What are our 1 or 2 deliverables that really frickin' matter? And then we can work backwards to instill those over time.
Yes.
Right. Now, what led me to this framework? Because a lot of it for me, I don't do fault, I don't do blame, I don't do guilt, I don't do shame. I just do impact. Like impact or significant emotional events. Impact if I'm talking left brain, masculine, emotional, significant emotional event if I'm talking feminine. I'm talking the triangle or the circle and the right brain. And so it's what got me here was I had the fact I was born was already amazing, because my mom had 10 pregnancies, only 2 of us lived. I was number 7.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So if my parents only had 2 kids, I never would have been born. Neither would my brother, because he was number 4. So the fact we're here, already incredible. And then my brother is like Charlie Brown, watch the grass grow, totally chill, calm, cool, collected. I'm Tigger. I would fall asleep standing up in the crib. I ran into traffic at 4 years old, had to have a leash to pull me out twice. Climbed the tree in the backyard, got on the roof of the house. My dad's working on the car. I'm leaning over the roof. Hi, Dad. And he's looking around. He's looking under the car. He's looking in the car. Finally, he looks up and, oh, God. And I'm on the roof going, hi. So that was my energy. No diagnosis to seize, but I was just into everything, low excitation threshold. And then I had, we were a military family. We were living in Saudi, and I had some abuse situations happen with a security guard. And then we came back to the US, and then I had some abuse situations happen with some kids. And so what I took away from that is, 1, I'm not safe. 2, I can't tell anybody what actually happened, because I'll get in more trouble for doing things I'm not supposed to. And I can't trust adults, and I can't trust kids.
Wow.
So I'm 6 years old, people say one thing, they mean a second thing, they do a third thing, and none of them have to do with each other necessarily. And I don't have anybody I can trust. And my parents didn't find out about this stuff until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
So now I'm in fight or flight mode 24/7, back against the wall. One of the dominant personalities, entrances, exits. Part of me believes I'm worthless and useless, and so
Yeah.
I should be ignored and punished. But another part of me is a protector and looking out for keeping other people safe. And so I'm stuck in this place, one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, constantly spun up, and everything is life and death. So 7 years old, let's play tic-tac-toe. If I lose, I'm going to die. My energy level was through the roof when you add in the fact, raised on a leash and sleeping up and ran into traffic and all that fun stuff. So I very quickly realized, like, I'm outpacing the kids around me and I'm scaring them. So to be safe, I learned to become a chameleon and a mimic. And I began to learn to just analyze and assess, what's the way I fit? How do I change myself in this moment to fit this container, to be as safe as possible, be as invisible as possible if I want to be? And at the same time, for all the adults
Yeah.
around me, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. You can't control me.
Yeah.
So now
And
I'm in this really horrible place of like, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I trust? And that was kind of how I grew up. And then, like, by 9 years old, I had quit smoking because I started at 8. By 12, I was doing cross-cultural religious studies. I got removed from the gifted programs in school because I didn't follow the rules that they had, even though I could do all of the work. So like, your authority structure is stupid, and I'm not going to conform to your dictates, and you can't use reverse psychology because I'll make both of us mad because you tell me what to do. So I was one of those really smart kids that none of the adults knew how to get influence on, which makes me wonderful at what I do now, because I don't come from a place of positional authority. There's no because you have to with me. It's just, where are you at? How is that showing up for you? How is that taking you where you want to go? Like, I just have questions to frame back what's going on to take you somewhere else. And so then at 20, I started martial arts, and the place that I studied, which I'm still active with, is tied into a 1,500-year tradition of Shaolin warrior monks. And so we look at fighting as an energy exchange. And fundamentally, we as human beings are positive energy occupying space, moving forward through time. And whenever there's conflict, it's just because we're getting into a misalignment. And so in our system, like, the most basic skill is beat someone's butt. And that's awesome and fantastic. And no one should touch you without your permission. And you should have the ability to assert yourself. But the second level is, let's have an exchange of energy. And it could be an argument, it could be a fight, but I change your mind. You might not like me, but at least you understand, respect where I'm coming from. I respect where you're coming from. But the highest level is, let's have an energy exchange, and I'll change your heart, or I'll change my heart, and we become friends.
Yeah.
Which is a quote Abraham Lincoln had, which was, if I make my enemy my friend, isn't it true I'm killing my enemies? So if we can change people's hearts and align with each other, problem is solved. But if that doesn't work, let me at least engage your mind. But if that doesn't work, at least let me assert my body. You don't have a right to hurt me without my permission. You don't have a right to touch me without my permission.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of body, mind, spirit, body, mind, heart. That's kind of the frame. And so then I got into, as the abuse came more to my awareness in my mid-20s, I started doing the work, and I picked up some master certifications as I resolved the emotion in the past, and found that clarity now, so that I carry that forward. No fault, no blame, no guilt, no shame. Unpack anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt. What if those were warning lights on the dashboard to tell you something? What if anxiety didn't exist? You just have a pattern of getting anxious. What if there was no depression unless someone's sitting on you? It's just a way of connecting to yourself, connecting to the outside world isn't working the way you want. What if it's not mental health or mental illness? What if it's mental process, and we can unpack it and we can remap it? And I'm just saying hypotheticals, could be's, because nobody actually knows.
Yeah, definitely.
All the psychology, all the psychiatry, like, psychiatry is more like how medicine induces thought patterns, but all the psychology, we don't really know. It's all best guess heuristics. And then we kind of throw some stuff out and see what happens. So, just throw another frame in there, that what if you could have more control?
Definitely.
So
definitely. And that's in a way, like, that's how I look at my program that I kind of run. So it's, for me, it's more about reflection, like, and just kind of how you kind of stated, right? Going back, like in your mid 20s, like that's where you kind of started realizing and started working on something, right? That's where that's where I kind of fall in as well, right? It's you got to take the time to see where you've been, what you've accomplished, and then is it still aligned with where you want to go? I mean,
Yeah.
it is that simple, right? And I tell people all the time. I think I shared this with you, I think before, but I mean, I was asked by one of my clients that she was like, "Yeah, so how long should I do your program for?" I was like, "Until it's down, and then grow from me." I'm
Yeah.
like, once you get the framework down and it's in your mind where you're like, you know what, I don't really need the book no more, right? I know it's there. I can always come back if I need to pivot and hey, you know what, I need to do it again. But once you got it down, like, dude, move on,
Yeah.
go find another coach, go find something else to learn. Like, this program is not a life program of like, this is all you're going to do for the rest of your life kind of thing. Like,
Right.
by all means, no, all I'm doing is providing you a framework to schedule a 90-day season of your life and schedule it with the intention of, okay, what type of season am I going into to understand the mentality. So
Yep.
part of my program is like for soaring: strength, opportunity, attitude, resilience, intent, necessity, gratitude. The four seasons you can choose from is strength, opportunity, attitude, resilience. And I'm like, and that this kind of just takes you in the sense of like, if you're going into an opportunity season, for example, right? For example, right now I'm in an opportunity season, which means I want an exploratory mindset. I want to just open my mind and open my perspective to almost anything, right? To see how it affects change in me, to see how it develops me and grow and provides me growth opportunities, right? Is everyone going to work out? Probably not. Do I feel like, it can be overwhelming? Yes, right? But I feel like I have to be in that mindset right now, right? Trying to grow my business and stuff like that, right? And just talk to people like you, right? I mean, that's how me and you connected.
Hmm.
So I feel like when people take the time and it's pivotal or it's instrumental in them because you have to take the time to identify where you're trying to go, right? And
Yeah.
like a lot of the time I hear from people that they're like, oh, either they're maybe unhappy at work, home life is not going too well, or something like that, right? And it can be something as simple as just, hey, I'm not having a great relationship with my wife right
True.
now, or with my daughter or my kids or something like that, right? Or
Mhm.
I feel like I get home, they don't want to talk to me or stuff like that, right? Or little things like that. I'm like, well, have you took the time to find out what they're interested in, right? And I learned this because I'm subject to it. I've done it. I've
Right.
come home and I've like, oh man, at work it was crazy today and everything. My wife doesn't want to know about what KPIs we hit at work today. She doesn't want to know about metrics and little things like that. Like, she wants to discuss, oh, maybe what did you do today, babe? Like, what was your, little things like that. I'm like, and I had to take it upon myself to like maybe look up, maybe even just Google something that I know that she's interested in. So when I walk through the door, I can be like, hey, babe, did you hear blah blah blah? And
Yep.
now it's like, oh, dude, you heard about that? Yeah, I saw it today. So I'm like, just take that time, but I won't get there if I don't reflect.
Right.
If I don't reflect and understand, like, hey, dude, why have the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks of home life been kind of a drag? Like, I don't feel like we're communicating very effectively at home.
Right.
What's going on, right? So, yeah, that's one thing I kind of try harping on people a lot about is just take the time to explore yourself, right? And kind of goes into like the why, right? Like, why are you living? Why are you doing what you're doing, right? I feel that it changes over time, right? If you would have asked me 10 years ago, John would have told you, oh, my why is to be the first millionaire in my family, right? Today, it's like my why is to try building people. That's it. To be just a instrument, or what I like to say, like a flashlight in their life, right?
Right.
Whether they're
Right.
walking through darkness right now, it may be a little dim or something like that. I want people to meet me and just be like, man, you know what? He gave me that just 1% of motivation, of hope, of faith, of whatever they needed at that time to just
Mhm.
grab that flashlight and keep walking forward. So I would love to. I mean, you did kind of share it, but do you have a particular like why you're doing what you're doing, or like is it more passion, more purposeful?
Yeah, for me, it's not a why, because why
Okay.
just spins, right? In my
Yes.
experience, my life as a strategist, and someone's doing something, not getting their results, and we can why and to the nth degree and get all the belly button lint out and still not make any progress. So I'm
Oh,
much less interested in why and more in what's and how's. What do you want? How are you going to get there? Right.
nice. Yeah.
And I've been through a lot of really bad stuff, and I've learned from it and I've unlocked it. And so my goal is, what I would like to accomplish is to help other men and families not have to go through the school of hard knocks and not have to go through the 20 years of negativity that I did and the 10 years to rebuild it all. What if we could get there in hours or days instead of months, years, and decades? So,
Yeah.
for me, what's driving this? 10 divorced dads a day kill themselves. Men
Wow.
are 250% more likely to die from every single cause once they get divorced. Like,
Wow.
when a man does not have a reason to live, he won't.
Yeah.
And it literally is as simple as that. And so, like, there's these things that are driving men. Like, if a dad ends his life, he normalizes it for his kids to do the same thing. Because, well, my dad did it. Why should I care? It was too hard for him. How could I ever compare? My dad's bigger, stronger, more everything ish, and he gave up. What chance do I have? Or
Yeah.
my dad didn't even love me enough to care to stick around. Right. And we have to, we want to take away the stigma from negative thought processes. Yeah, absolutely. But we also need to address those thought processes,
Yes.
because when we make it okay for everybody to think everything all the time about everything, we are now normalizing permanent solutions to temporary problems. Because
Yes.
it's not about the situation you're in, it's about your belief about the situation you're in. Because that belief drives your resourcefulness or lack thereof. And there's so much like weaponization when people are stuck in fault, blame, guilt, and shame. When they're creating unwinnable games with themselves or others, that's all inner child wound stuff that we have to get addressed, because you cannot build anything if you don't feel safe and playful. Nothing you build will be sustainable for your life, because you will
Yes.
implode at some point, because how I'm living is not who I am, because my identity is wounded. And as long as we carry that hole in our inner bucket, right? I got this little tiny cup right here, right? And if we poke a hole in here, there's no amount of stuff that we can pour in from the outside that will ever plug that hole.
Yeah.
This container will never be filled until the hole gets plugged. So we got to plug it, but nobody can plug your stuff for you. I don't heal my clients. There's nothing to heal.
Yeah.
There's a belief system that's creating a gap, and so we need to close that up. They heal themselves, and it's not really even healing, it's integrating and resolving whatever that distortion. Am I doing this? Because, like, in my world, suffering is optional and self-generated. Nobody can make you suffer but you. Other people can cause you pain, and they can reinforce that pain, and they can drive you. You can allow yourself to be driven. You can be framed into, because we keep stacking pressure and pressure and pressure on someone. We can drive you into very negative places, but you realize it's only two factors. It's your belief system, your BS, your story. It's your
Mhm.
shoulds, your rules. But then it's your life conditions, it's your rules, it's your realities. What if you're not wrong? What if the people around you are so scared you're going to outgrow them? They're trying to keep you small for their safety and their comfort, right? My kids and I love to go climb trees. My wife cannot watch us climb trees because she's a loving mother. She adores those children. She adores me. But in her brain, a part of her survival instinct, she's going to worst case scenario if we fall and we break something.
Yeah.
We break our heads or break our necks or whatever, whatever. So for her mental health, she can't watch us climb trees beyond like a certain point, simply because it's just too much
Oh.
tension for her. But she
Yeah.
owns
Yeah.
she owns that and says, look, guys, I don't want to watch you do that. I'm not okay with that. You can do it. I know you're safe. I know your dad's safe. I know you'll this and this and this. Like, intellectually, she knows, but emotionally, her body is an alarm. So rather than sit there and diminish us and make us wrong, instead of yucking our yum, she just goes somewhere else while we climb. And then once we're like really, really comfortable with it, then we might show her, and she's like, "Oh, that's really cool. You guys are really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at an 8. You need to come back down because I'm not okay with this anymore." And we're like, cool, because she's asserting a boundary, and she's letting
Yes.
us know where she's at. She's not making us wrong, but it's just that's where she's at. Cool. thanks, mom, for letting us know. Thanks for appreciating our bravery and our confidence and our blah blah blah. So we can live in a place of appreciation of each other and be respectful and
Yeah.
mindful of each other's boundaries. And then there's crap I'll do with the kids. I'm like, yeah, don't tell your mom. She'll freak. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm keeping them safe and she trusts me with them to not put their lives at risk. Right. And so
Yes.
it's that finding that, well, we can just we can co-create that space with each other as a couple, as business partners, as parents, as individuals, and then we can give that guidance to our kids, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling system, because then our kids will find people that they can align with, and someone's making them wrong, someone's trying to yuck their yum, they just go,
Yeah.
what's your deal? They don't take it. They don't go, what's wrong with me? They go, what's going on with you? And not even what's wrong with you, what's going on with you, which is neutral, versus what's wrong with you, which presupposes other stuff. We don't know that. So
Yeah.
walk it back. My kid's upset about whatever. I'm like, hold on, take a deep breath. Okay, I'm hearing an emotional charge in that. Can I give you a frame to play with and see how it feels?
Yeah.
Like getting consent. Cool. Well, it sounds like you asked what's wrong. Is there anything going wrong, or is it just two people with misalignments? Because like there's 88 notes on the keyboard, and if you take two notes right next to each other, it sounds like but if you go over one, it sounds beautiful. Because this one,
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
note they align right next to each other. They're a little too close and they crash, creates dissonance. Over one creates consonance. Which do you like more
Yeah.
better? Cool. So are they wrong, or are they just on a different path than you?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden,
It makes perfect sense, man. It really does. I like to. I had a I had a friend ask me. They're like, "Hey, your program." They're like, "What program is it, or what can I expect of it?" And I was like, I just told them, I was like, "Dude, look, not to shorten it, right?" But they were kind of in a rush, and I was like, honestly, it's an awareness program.
hmm
Like, it's just making you more aware of what's going on in your life, man. And
yeah,
then it provokes you to take action. I was like,
yeah,
that's it. Like, really,
yeah,
it's not. And just like how you said, like, you don't heal, right? It's
yeah.
like I said too. I'm like, I'm not. If you're looking for someone, hey, I want you to make me a millionaire. Sorry, you got the wrong guy. If you're like, I want to 10x, my company, you got the wrong guy. Like,
Right,
I'm not that kind of coach, right? But if you're
right.
like, John, I've been walking and I feel like 50% of me is going forward, and I feel 50% is like sitting on the corner.
hmm
And I don't know like what's going on right now. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to take you through my program, which is an awareness program. It's going to make you reflect and make you take action in certain aspects of your life
right.
to help you identify what's next. Not, oh, this is the last program. No, it's going to help you identify what's next.
hmm
Right. Maybe you go through my program and you're like, hey, next person I need to work with is Jeremy.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, cool. Let's look that up.
you know?
The one thing I would say too, just from discussing yesterday and today about
Mhm.
your program, I would say yes, awareness, but I would also say internal accountability, because like you're really helping people
Yeah.
develop their self discipline muscles for them to hold themselves accountable to their goals and
Yeah.
dreams. And you're giving them, again, I would say a ladder, but you're giving them a structure to kind of guide themselves and stay within constraints. Like we as adults, as parents, it's not about we have to control our kids. We need to give our kids guidelines that they can
Yeah.
bounce into to help focus them on their outcomes. Because if we sit there and squash and squash and squash, very quickly they learn I don't have to think or do for myself. The authority figure will always tamp me down and force me into a box. And it's like,
Yeah.
kid, I need you to be self-regulated. Like I don't have time to live your life and my life.
Yes.
So we gotta change this a little bit, her.
Yeah, and that's one. It's I love that you said even earlier too, like with discipline, right? It's
Mhm.
one thing that I harp on a lot is, and I want to get, I want to challenge, I guess, the what I feel like people define leadership as. I feel like it's just become a catchphrase for like working at a company,
Right.
and where it's like you're if you're a mother, a father, uncle, brother, big sister, whatever, you're a leader. You could be a
Yes.
community leader. You could be helping at your local YMCA. I don't know, but you're a leader outside of work just as much as you are at work. But I feel like people have this like mentality of like, what do I do to help my leadership grow at work? But then they're
Right.
not focusing on this part of it.
Yep.
Understanding for me, for me and my perspective about it, a lot of the growth that I've had has been in personal development that has helped me grow as a leader.
Right.
practicing empathy, just like you said right now. Like we focus so much on empathy at the workplace, but then we'll come home and yell at our kids. And I'm like, and that's one thing, like for me, I mean, I don't have it all figured out. We'll probably never have it all figured out. But, you know, at least, like you said, you'll get a framework of something to help you and
Yep.
continuously help you to grow, to nurture your relationships at home and little
Yep.
things like that. Right. I expressed a lot where I went through a season of my life, like just having my dogs and just practicing like taking them for walks like at least every other day. And I'm like, I learned a lot of patience from them because in my mind, I'm like, hey, I gotta go, I got stuff I gotta go do and everything, right? And they helped me kind of stop, like especially my dog, my girl Mindy. She just loves to lay in the grass, in long grass. Like she'll find the biggest patch of long grass and she'll just go lay in it.
Yep.
And she just wants to stay there for a little bit. And I'm like, and it helped me kind of like accept and like understand, okay, I need to slow myself down sometimes and understand, like, hey, just kind of be in that moment, and I had to learn that lesson. And I don't think I would have learned that lesson being in a leadership development class at work. Right. So that's why I kind of try focusing a lot on the personal development side. And like you said, just kind of having people self-aware, self-regulation, little things like that. Right. Yeah, but I love it. I know we're running out of time, Jeremy. I think we definitely need to follow this up. We
Of
need to have
course.
another show, man. Definitely would love to have you back on here. Before we end, though, I love asking this question, man. Favorite quote, book, or podcast?
Yeah. Favorite quote. I actually have 4, but I won't hit you with all
Oh,
4. So you guys have to come back for the next one. Let me pull one up because it's. Oh, I just put it. Oh yeah. I know where I got it. No, dang it. Hold on. Sorry.
you're good. You're good. I put you on the
Uh,
spot too.
yeah. Nah, you're cool. You're cool. All right. So I got 4. All right. So you pick Helen, Minxius, Carl, or Rumi.
Ooh, roomy.
Rumi, keep walking, though there's no place to get to. Don't try to see through the distances. That's not for human beings. Move within, but don't move the way fear makes you move. Walk to the well. Turn as the earth and the moon turn, circling what they love. Whatever circles comes from the center.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's deep, man.
Every time I hear that, like I'm out, I'm walking in the woods at night, and I got the clouds overhead, and the moon is peeking through
Yes.
the clouds just after a storm. So it's those big poofy clouds. You've got the mixes of whites and purples, and it's like mid-fall, which is my favorite season in Ohio. And I'm just out walking,
Yeah.
having a conversation with myself and my higher sense of purpose about life and love and meaning. And I feel a sense of
Yep.
calm and cool and collected and centered and just like
Yeah.
I'm right there.
What's funny, man, and like right when you shared that, so I was walking, and I definitely have to tell the rest of the story, but it reminds me of a painting I saw when we were walking around Ross, me and my wife and the kids, and I saw this painting that pretty much put me on a country road on a morning where like the sun is barely coming up and you feel the dew like in your
Mhm,
face as you're
mhm,
walking.
mhm.
Dude, I'll share more about it on the next show, but
Yeah,
that's exactly what that quote reminded me of, man. But
nice.
yeah, if anybody needs to get a hold of you, Jeremy, how can they get a hold of you?
Best way is just look for me. I'm the only Jeremy Roadruck online. I wrote the only parenting book with a money back guarantee. Your best child ever. Is this game worth winning? The owner's manual of children for parents, grandparents, caregivers, guardians, teachers, coaches of children of all ages. The money back guarantee right there on the back cover. And yeah, I'm most active on Facebook. And if you're looking for mindset, mastery, peak performance relationship, communication, go to tiktok.com/at Jeremy Roadruck. You can also look for me on YouTube at Jeremy Roadruck, and there I have long form content. TikTok is all about 1-minute clips and data mine my stuff. If you're struggling, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're not sure what to do, data mine my stuff. I've got so much just straight bangers out there to help shift and reframe like quickly, and it's all free. You want to work with
Nice.
me? I've got a paid community. I've got a free community. I do one-on-one stuff. I work primarily men and couples. I do a little bit of work with women, but I'm kind of selective there just because some of the stuff I deal with can get pretty messy pretty fast. And some of the issues women are dealing with, they actually need to talk to a woman better than a guy, because just being a guy can
Agreed.
drive certain reactions and fears and doubts and things like that. But I have friends that are trained similar to what I am that I can connect women with as well. So
Nice.
want to grab a virtual coffee, leadlikeaking.com/virtual-coffee, and take it from there.
Awesome, Jeremy. Hey, I appreciate it, man. We'll definitely be in communication, man. We definitely got to follow this up. So,
actually, there's no. Oh, sorry, I just double checked. There's no hyphen in the virtual coffee. It's just virtual coffee.
Okay, awesome, man.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll go ahead and link them as well too, man. I'll get them and I'll link them in the video as well. So, but I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your time, brother. And yeah, we'll definitely schedule another time and follow this up. You'll tell your other favorite quote, and I'll tell that picture story, man. Appreciate it, man.
Love it, man. Talk to you later. You have a great day.
Awesome. Talk, man.
Actually, make it a great day. Don't wait.
There you go. Love it.